Today's lesson is on multiplying decimals. After today, you will be able to fluently add, subtract, multiply, and divide multi-digit decimals using the standard algorithm for each operation. First, we're going to look at our key idea for multiplying decimals by decimals. Multiply as you would with whole numbers, then add the number of decimal places in the factors. This sum gives you the number of decimal places in the product. So our example is 4 and 716 thousandths times 2 tenths. When we multiply this, we get 0.9432, or 0 and 9,432 ten-thousandths. In order to know where our decimal goes, we look at our numbers and we have 3 digits after our decimal for our first number and 1 digit after the decimal for our second number. 3 plus 1 equals 4. So starting at the end, we'd move it up 1, 2, 3, 4 places, and that's how we know that our decimal is in front of our 9. For our first example, we're multiplying decimals. For A, we're going to find 4 and 8 tenths times 7 and 2 tenths. The first thing we do is we go ahead and multiply. When we multiply, 8 times 2 is 16, so we're going to write our 6 and carry our 1. And then 2 times 4 is 8, plus 1 is 9. Now we've used the 1 so we can cross it out. And then for our second row, we can start with a 0. Now we multiply 7 times 8, and that's 56. So we write our 6 and carry our 5. And then 7 times 4 is 28, plus 5 is 33. Now we're going to add up our 2 rows. 6 plus 0 is 6. 9 plus 6 is 15, so write our 5 and carry our 1. 1 plus 3 is 4, and 3 plus nothing is 3. Now we need to figure out our decimal. We have one number after our decimal in our first number, and 1 digit after the decimal in our second number. So 1 plus 1 is 2, so we're going to move it over from the end 2 places. So that gives us 34 and 56 hundredths. If we estimate this, we can say that 4 and 8 tenths is about 5, and 7 and 2 tenths is about 7, and 5 times 7 is 35. And our answer is very close to 35. For B, we're going to find 3 and 1 tenth times 5 hundredths. First, we're going to go ahead and multiply. 5 times 1 is 5, and 5 times 3 is 15. Now all we have left are zeros, so we can go ahead and stop and place our decimal. In the first number we have 1 digit after the decimal. In our second number we have 2 digits after the decimal. So 1 plus 2 is 3. So we're going to move our decimal from the end up 3 places. 1, 2, 3. So we'll move it in front of the 1. So our answer is 0 and 155 thousandths. If we estimate this, 3 and 1 tenth is about 3, 5 hundredths is about 0, and 3 times 0 is 0, and our answer is close to 0. Now we have a couple of additional examples. You can pause the video and try them on your own, or you may follow along. For number 1, we're going to multiply 8 and 1 tenth times 5 and 6 tenths. So the first thing we need to do is we need to go ahead and multiply. 6 times 1 is 6, and 6 times 8 is 48. For our second row, we're going to start with our 0, and then 5 times 1 is 5, and 5 times 8 is 40. Now we're going to add our 2 rows. 6 plus 0 is 6. 8 plus 5 is 13. Write our 3 and carry our 1. And 1 plus 4 is 5. Plus 0 is still 5. And then 4 plus nothing would be 4. Now we need to figure out where our decimal goes. On our first number we have one digit after the decimal, and in the second number we have one digit after the decimal. 1 plus 1 is 2, so we're going to move up our decimal 2 places, 1, 2, and we're going to put it right here in between the 5 and the 3. So our answer is 45 and 36 hundredths. If we estimate 8 and 1/10 is about 8, 5 and 6/10 is about 6, and 8 times 6 equals 48, and our answer is close to 48. For number 2, we have 1 and 785 thousandths times 2/10. So the first thing we need to do is multiply. 2 times 5 is 10, so we're going to write our 0 and carry our 1. 2 times 8 is 16, plus 1 is 17. So we're going to write our 7, carry our 1. 2 times 7 is 14, plus 1 is 15. So write the 5 and carry the 1. And then 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 is 3. Now we need to go ahead and figure out our decimal. Since our other number we have left is a 0, we don't need to worry about multiplying that one. On our first number we have 3 digits after the decimal, and for our second one we have 1 digit after the decimal, and 3 plus 1 is 4, so we're going to move it up from the back 4 places. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're going to put it in front of the 3, and then in front of that decimal we can go ahead and put a 0. So our answer is 0 and 3,570 10,000ths. For our estimate, we can say that 1 and 785 thousandths is about 2, and 2/10 is about 0, and 2 times 0 would be 0. So our answer, 0 and 3,570 10,000ths is close to 0. For our second example, we're evaluating expressions. We're going to evaluate the expression 2 and 4/10 x for the given value of x. For a, we're going to evaluate it if x equals 3 and 95 hundredths. So we have 2 and 4/10 times x, so we're going to be doing 2 and 4/10 times 3 and 95 hundredths. First thing we're going to do is we're going to multiply. When we multiply 3 and 95 hundredths times 2 and 4/10, we're going to do 4 times 5, which is 20. So we put our 0, carry our 2. 4 times 9 is 36, plus 2 is 38. So write our 8 and carry our 3. And then 4 times 3 is 12, plus 3 more is 15. We can cross out our 2 and 3 so we've already used them. And now we start our second row. We can start our second row with a 0 to hold the place. And then we multiply 2 times 5 is 10, so we write our 0 and carry our 1. And then 2 times 9 is 18, plus 1 is 19. Write our 9 and carry our 1. And then 2 times 3 is 6, plus 1 is 7. Now we're going to add our 2 rows. 0 plus 0 is 0. 8 plus 0 is 8. 5 plus 9 is 14. So write our 4, we carry our 1. 1 plus 1 is 2, plus 7 is 9. Now we figure out our decimal. We have 2 digits after the decimal in the first number, and 1 digit after the decimal in the second number. 2 plus 1 is 3. So from the end we move it up 3 places. 1, 2, 3. So we have 9 and 480 thousandths. For B, we're going to evaluate 2 and 4/10 x if x equals 16 thousandths. So we're going to be multiplying 2 and 4/10 times 16 thousandths. So first we're going to go ahead and multiply. 4 times 6 is 24, so we write the 4 and carry our 2. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 2 is 6. And if you want to continue multiplying, you can do 4 times 0, which is 0. And then 4 times the next 0 would also be 0. You can multiply these, or you can go ahead and move on to the next step. Now for our second row, we're going to start with a 0. Then 2 times 6 is 12, so write our 2 and carry our 1. And then 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 is 3. If you want to continue doing your zeros, you can. 2 times 0 would then be 0. And then 2 times the next 0 would also be 0. Now when we add this up, 4 plus 0 is 4, 6 plus 2 is 8, 0 plus 3 is 3, and then 0 plus 0 is 0, and nothing plus 0 would be 0. Now for our decimal, for the first number we have 3 digits after our decimal, and for the second number we have 1 digit after the decimal. 3 plus 1 is 4, so we move it up 4 places. 1, 2, 3, 4. So our answer would be 0 and 384 ten-thousandths. Now we have a couple of additional examples. You can either pause the video and try them on your own, or you may follow along. For number 3, we want to evaluate the expression 3 and 5/10 x for the given value of x. So we're going to be multiplying. If x equals 2 and 41 hundredths, we're going to be multiplying 2.41 times 3.5, or 2 and 41 hundredths times 3 and 5/10. So first we're going to multiply. 5 times 1 is 5. 5 times 4 is 20. We're going to carry our 2. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 2 is 12. Then we're going to start our second row with a 0. We can also cross out this 2 so we don't forget we've already used that. Now 3 times 1 is 3. 3 times 4 is 12. We're going to carry our 1. And then 3 times 2 is 6, plus 1 is 7. Now we're going to add up our 2 rows. Five plus 0 is 5. 0 plus 3 is 3. 2 plus 2 is 4. And 1 plus 7 is 8. We have 2 numbers after our decimal for our first number, and 1 number after the decimal for our second number. So 2 plus 1 is 3. So we're going to move our decimal up 3 places. 1, 2, 3. So it's going to be between the 8 and the 4. So our answer is 8 and 435 thousandths. Now for number 4. X equals 7 thousandths. So if we're going to do 3 and 5/10 x, we're doing 3 and 5/10 times x, or 3 and 5/10 times 7 thousandths. So we're going to have 7 thousandths times 3 and 5/10. So we have 5 times 7 is 35. We can write our 5 and carry our 3. And then 5 times 0 is 0, plus 3 is 3. If you want to keep multiplying your zeros, you can. 5 times 0 is 0. And then 5 times 0 is 0. Now we'll cross out this 3, since we know we've already used it, and we can start our second row out with a 0. Now 3 times 7 is 21, so we'll write our 1, carry our 2. 3 times 0 is 0, plus 2 is 2. And again, if you want to keep multiplying your zeros, you can. 3 times 0 is 0. And then 3 times 0 is 0. Now we're going to add up our two rows. Five plus 0 is 5. 3 plus 1 is 4. 0 plus 2 is 2. 0 plus 0 is 0. And then we didn't have anything, plus 0 would be 0 again. Now we need to figure out our decimal. In our first number we have 3 digits after the decimal. And in our second number we have 1 digit after the decimal. And 3 plus 1 is 4. So starting at the end, we're going to move up 4 places. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we'll put our decimal. So our answer is 0 and 245 10,000ths. Don't forget to fill out your notes, and remember you can watch the video again if needed.